So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hi, villains, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast, post-match podcast. We usually come directly after the game, but due to commitments yesterday, we couldn't. And we want to talk, I suppose, really about a dominant performance versus Luton as Aston Villa won 3-1 yesterday to extend their unbeaten run to 12 home games in a row. I do have a little caveat before I go any further. If I die in this podcast from the hangover that I have, please remember me fondly and don't remember me for how I am at this very moment, because I am still rough at 9:30 after the celebrating that I did last night for various different reasons. But Paddy, hopefully you're not as close to death's door as I am.
I think this is the reason you're hungover. What do you reckon?
That's 100%. My local, my local hurling team won the county championship, and it's a big deal, put it that way. So, I took years off my life last night, unfortunately, I think.
And you didn't even get to it because you were in the fairy forest.
I didn't even get to it because I was in the fairy forest, but I got to the celebration. That's the main
You made up for it afterwards, yeah, absolutely.
That's the main thing. But I could just as easily have been celebrating Aston Villa's win as well. And to be honest with you, it's actually really funny. Everybody, to a man, woman, and child last night, was asking me, first thing they said to me was like, "Oh, Villa are doing well, aren't they?" So like, it was kind of like, I felt like a local celebrity being somebody who follows Aston Villa, and everybody wanting to talk about them, and I suppose that's what winning does. 12, as I said, on the bounce in the league at home. And as I say, sitting pretty 5 points ahead of Newcastle, Paddy, with Forest to come next week. Obviously not being complacent there, but Newcastle playing Arsenal. A win for us and a loss for them puts us 8 points ahead of sixth place. Well, ahead of Newcastle, provided the Brighton don't win because they're level points with Newcastle. That's bloody amazing. That's something that crept up on me, Paddy, and I did not expect that until I was looking at the table yesterday and went, "Oh, that's interesting,"
Well, it's a far cry from where we were this time last year when the professor came in. So I think we can all be really, really grateful for the position we're in. I think we're still ahead of schedule from what the owners wanted us to be, which is fantastic. We've got some really, really good players, and we've got some players who we thought we were really, really average are now playing absolutely out of their skins. So while the only goal that Luton scored took a bit of the gloss off yesterday in what was basically a pedestrian performance against a poor side, which we expected. Could have scored more, had the chances to score more, but that just shows how really good we were. We're capable of picking teams off now. Like, we saw Emi Martinez standing on the ball on the edge of the box on Thursday night. Our midfielders were doing it in the centre circle on Sunday. That's how much they didn't want to commit. So, yeah, it's all good. It's all positive, and I think everybody is over the moon with where we are.
Absolutely, and you mentioned one thing there about, it was a pedestrian performance. Villa were very professional in it. They were very measured. There was times Pau Torres was standing with the ball at his feet on the edge of their box, because spoiler alert, he's somebody I want to talk about because you're not hearing too many people give out about Pau Torres recently, and I think there's reason for that, because he's really kind of adapting his game while keeping that brilliant passing ability that he has. I thought he was fantastic yesterday. I really did. I thought he was brilliant. And the stat sheet shows it. And when I watched the game back again, he bounced off the screen to me with what he was doing. But as I said, the press was non-existent from Luton. And I was just about to say it, the Pau Torres flick over Townsend. He was known for doing that. Well, I won't say he was known for it, but there are one or two occasions that he did it at Villarreal as well. So he's bringing it out of his repertoire in a Villa shirt too, which is always great to see. But I thought he was brilliant. We'll get to talking about the players in a moment, I suppose. But overall, I think what you mentioned there about the pedestrian nature of the game, I don't see that as a negative at all. If you can go out and win a game 3-1 and walk around the
I
field.
didn't mean it as a negative either.
Yeah.
It was exactly the game we needed to conserve energy, win the game at a canter, and
Yeah.
get the 3 points on the board. It's the kind of game you see Man City going out and winning 3 or 4-0 and not having to break sweat. That's the way that felt yesterday. And anyone who's not happy with it needs their head examined. It's absolutely brilliant position to be in. And I think we're all feeling a little bit blessed and a little bit, there's a little bit element of pinching ourselves to where we are in the league. And look, I said where we are with this team now, if we can go and get this run of 3 games, if we can get 9 points, that puts us in a really good position going into the tougher games that are ahead. So we've got the first one out of the way. The other 2 are winnable games. Forest were very, very passive yesterday against Liverpool. And then we Fulham, who have come into a little bit of form as well. They got a draw against Brighton. So it won't be easy either, and we won't take it for granted. We will have a full team out. But a few days off now, a rare rest with no midweek game. It'll be good to get the players back and focused into just one game a week for this week anyway.
Yeah, and I feel with the squad the way it is at the moment, I feel they kind of need a one game a week this week. I think for the platform to set up within the league, and you mentioned and a couple of people are saying here 1 game at a time, and absolutely I think that it is, but that's right. But even just taking it in blocks is good, because the run after that is quite difficult. I would go so far as to say, or it would be defining basically if we could get points from the teams above us, because we play 3 or 4 of the teams that are above us in the run afterwards. That's quite defining, So getting a week to rest, recuperate. This week, the game plan for Forest to make sure that we can go to Forest and put in a performance, hopefully come away with the 3 points. That platform is 25 points at essentially the start of November is not an Aston Villa thing to have happen in quite a long time, and plus with being in Europe, it would allow us, that bit of flexibility to target certain games. Obviously, it looks like if we beat Alkmaar in the next game in Europe, I think Europe is sound. I think we're qualifying. I don't think there's any issue there. It's all coming at the same time now, to put that flat platform down in the league, have an elevated position within that league coming into January, gives you other options for purchases, gives you other options for even, getting rid of players that maybe you don't think should be around the squad. Other teams will look at your position and go, oh, wait, hey, team 4th or 5th in the Premier League. Maybe they want somebody like it Dendonker. Maybe they want, maybe these guys become more affable, I suppose, as to other teams as well. So winning solves a lot of issues. It always does, and that's what this team just wants to do, is keep on winning. And this game, they did it very professionally, and they did it in a great way. Like we could have scored, as you said, we could have scored probably. We could have got 6. I think this could have been a 6-1. Again, Watkins, the double save from Kaminsky was absolutely brilliant, I thought. A lot of people said, oh, you should have been sticking that in the back of the net. I thought the original shot was exactly what most strikers would do. I don't think they go across the goalkeeper in that instance. It was a good save. The second save was brilliant as well. The Zaniolo chance as well that he put wide when he could have gone low. I think his miss was probably something that, that was a more egregious miss. He went high, he tried to go in the top corner. It
wasn't an easy chance either. It was flicked up instead of laid off to him, really, which made it more difficult. He did get in twice near post as well. Yes. One was blocked off and one was saved by the goalkeeper. So and there was another one in between that where the ball was hammered across the goal, and Ollie Watkins, I felt, should have thrown himself at it. Yeah. He probably would have scored, but didn't back himself to do that. So that would have racked up a very comfortable halftime scoreline for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was and the reason I brought up the Zaniolo effort was that he caught a bit of criticism in the aftermath of the game. Did Zaniolo, and look, I suppose people are very expectant of him. They're wondering, when's he going to score? Maybe, why is he in the team? Why isn't somebody else in the team? And I don't think he was particularly poor yesterday. When I watched the game back, I don't. I think he's he does look like he's a guy who's trying to get that goal.
He's probably trying a little bit too hard for me. That's what jumps out. And we've got to remember, that he's a 24-year-old man who's just been through a trauma as well. So we need to back off a little bit and let him. We gave Leon Bailey 3 seasons to get himself together. We have to give him time to bed in and settle in. We know he's a really, really good player, and we know there's a really good player in there. It's just a question of finding the right mentality for him to go out on the pitch. And I thought he played like he was a little bit relieved of what had come about during the week, but was just anxious to get that first goal and a good performance, and just tried that little bit too hard. I thought you could see his frustration at the misses. You could see he was really pissed off. So he just wants to get that goal under his belt. And I think when he does get to that stage, that's when he might start to kick on.
Yeah, like yesterday, he only played a half of football and he had 6 shots on goal, which was by far the most of any player on the whole pitch. Next was Ross Barkley. Actually, was the next person who had the most shots at 4. Villa's side, then you had McGinn with 3. Pau Torres had 2. Diaby and Watkins both had 2 as well. So, he had 6. So he's trying to make something happen, and he's been afforded that maverick role within the team. And he's not very. He is able to play positionally. Like, don't get me wrong, but I think he's given a bit more leeway to drift when he needs to. Specifically in a game like this. And I think that was evident yesterday with some of the positions he was picking up in more centrally. Also, what was evident yesterday is, remember what I haven't said in the last couple of weeks, Paddy, about we need to define the 6 position, specifically where Kamara was brilliant yesterday. I know there was no pressure on him, but Kamara didn't get a rush of blood to the head or anything. He was consistently beside his back to the 2 centre halves the whole time, almost pushing in that back 3, whether it be the centre of the back 3 or over to the right. That was very evident yesterday. Whenever Pau Torres had the ball, Kamara made sure when Pau Torres had the ball at his feet that he was filtering back into that 3. And I think what that allowed Zaniolo to do was come more central, if needed be, or drift across the line. And that's why a lot of the chances came to him. That's why he had opportunities to get shots on, because he was finding those positions. And as you said, Paddy, if that onion bag bulges at any stage in the next couple of weeks, I think it'll be a massive relief for him. It's coming. I think it is coming. But yeah, I think he's been defined, I suppose, really by the fact that he hasn't scored yet. And look, he's a different type of player. He's a ball carrier. He's trying to carry the ball, and yes, sometimes his final pass is off. But I think that's what he's been tasked with doing, is unlocking defenses, or trying to unlock defenses and try something that's a bit different within the team, because he has that ability. He's only new to the Premier League, and we'll see how that will pan out over the next couple of games as well.
Absolutely.
Talk to me, Paddy. Talk to me about Mr. Diaby. We said in the pre-match, I said that he was the player that I really wanted to see. I wanted to see a good performance from him. I wanted to see a goal. He must have been listening, because I thought he was absolutely smashing, and his goal was super, really well taken as well. Brilliant strike. Talk to me about him, Paddy.
Yeah, well, look, he's that kind of player you don't notice for 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, wow, there he is. He's just, getting into the right positions, peeling off defenders, can pick a pass as well. There was one pass he played in late on in the game for Bailey, who just kind of miscontrolled it and hit it wide. But he's capable, of doing anything really. He can play out wide, he can play through the middle, and just to watch how composed he was, take that step back when the ball came back off Bailey's head to hammer it home. And great goal, well held up by McGinn, lovely ball to the back post. I don't think Bailey was trying to head it back to him now, in fairness. I think he just hit his head and ended up back at the penalty spot. But what a finish, what a composed finish, just to bury it in that bottom corner. It was absolutely beautiful. And boy, did he enjoy the celebrations afterwards. So you can see it means a lot to him as well.
And I think, look, himself and Leon Bailey, you can see they have a bit of that they have previous with another team, because Bailey definitely looks like a way better player with Diaby on the field, or a way more confident player, should I say. And as we know, Bailey needs to be confident, and I don't think that can be underestimated, because I thought he was good yesterday as well when he came out, albeit that not a lot of opportunities came his way. He did get that assist, and fair play to him. He's racking up the goal contributions this season, Leon Bailey, and long may that continue, because that's a real big that's something that we need in this team. last year we relied on Ollie Watkins to score those goals to get us into Europe. Now we're sharing the goals around the team again. John McGinn is scoring goals. Unai Emery gave him that ultimatum when he came in. He said, "You're a really good midfielder, but you got to start scoring more goals." Douglas Luiz obviously scoring goals, gets another assist, keeps his run of goal contributions in home games going. Tielemans obviously scoring against AZ. Diaby, Watkins, and Matty Cash popping up with a few, of course, as well this season. And as I say, once Zaniolo starts getting off the mark, or if he does get off the mark, we'll have a nice spread of goals amongst the team this season, which is what we need. Anyone else particularly jump off the page to you, Paddy, when you were watching it? Yes.
Well, it's hard to pick out individuals, because I thought collectively we were just, it was a workmanlike performance and got the job done. There was nothing spectacular about it whatsoever, other than we're just really, really good collectively. So it's, I think it's unfair. We said it during the week. It was very hard to pick out somebody who didn't have a good game. It was the same yesterday. There's and mistakes can punish us. I thought Ezri Konsa made a poor error of judgment to be heading the ball back the way he did at the end. So we need to be eradicating those. Like, at 10 years of age, you're told not to head a ball or pass the ball back to within the space of the goalpost, and he's heading the ball over the keeper's head. If it was visible that he was trying to put it over the bar and it just dropped short, fair enough. But he was definitely trying to head it back to the goalkeeper. Yeah. But I just thought collectively we were excellent. It was just a joy to watch. Just to put a team away without injury, without breaking anybody up in the process. It was just, it was like watching one of the great teams dismantle a poor team in a manner that we haven't been able to do in recent history. And thankfully, it's made our weekends a lot more enjoyable to have to sit through that, as opposed to what we've been used to. So, I suppose if I had to pick out somebody, and you've already mentioned him, Den Donker, I honestly don't know. He just doesn't look like he's capable of being part of a team without, shitting the bed and making stupid mistakes. But, it just the mistake he made reminded me of Stevenage as well.
Stevenage, wasn't it? Yeah. That came into my mind too. Yeah.
And look, we weren't punished directly from it, but it could have very easily made a squeaky bum time going into added time. So, it was pedestrian. They didn't come to play football. Once we scored, I felt it was damage limitation from them. They sat back, as I said. How many times did we see Konsa or Torres put his foot on the ball in the centre circle or on the halfway line? They didn't commit whatsoever. So I think next week will be a bit more of a challenge. There's going to be a lot more pace around that Notts Forest side, so it'll be a lot more to deal with. I don't envisage we'll have it as easy as we did yesterday.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Like, there's not a lot much more we can say about this game, Paddy, other than really because we've got a couple of other things Villa related that we might as well talk about as well. Yeah. Who would you give man of the match to, Paddy?
I think I'd have to give it to Diaby, just because he absolutely excited me for the first time in a few games. It was just, you could see how much it meant to him as well. But as I said, collectively we were excellent. We didn't shine. There was no shining light other than Diaby, I would say. But that's not a slight on anybody else. There was just great performances all across the park, and we got the job done.
Yeah, I think Diaby, with my honourable mention for McGinn and for Pau Torres, because I really think Pau Torres was, like, he didn't have much to do. Anything he had to do in defence, he did it diligently, and every time he had the ball at his feet, I loved those chip passes that, like, as Luton were trying to compress everything. Like, Luton didn't really defend on their 6-yard box for the whole game. They tried to compress everything up a small little bit, and when they did, he went over the top to I think he went over the top to Bailey in one instance, and he went over Zaniolo in one instance, and to McGinn as well. And the variation of the play, I think, is good from Aston Villa, because we haven't seen that directness this season, specifically without Tyrone Mings. That's a Tyrone Mings type pass that he played there. Usually we've gone through the middle, or we've gone out wide, and I like to see that, because it's another variation, and I can guarantee you that Steve Cooper and his team will have noticed that at the weekend, because it was different.
And what you got to bear in mind is, with the range of passing that Pau Torres uses, he managed to get a 95% pass rate yesterday.
Mm.
Now, I know a lot of those passes were slow, intricate passes across the back four, but when you take risks like he does with those passes, that's a phenomenal pass rate. So, you're dead right to single him out 100%. He was excellent. I thought McGinn was good too. He proved that they haven't solved the problem with the short, because he was absolutely soaked, drenched with sweat yesterday. So, good to see him back to his industrious self. So I'm happy for him too, and he really seems to be really growing into that captain's role now, and I'm delighted for him.
Absolutely. So we'll draw a line under the Luton game there, and we've got one or two other things we just want to chat about Villa related. One of them on a somber note, and another one on a more joyous note. So I suppose we'll start with the joyous one first. How does it feel, Paddy, to have the best goalkeeper in the world playing for Aston Villa?
Best goalkeeper in the world and 15th best player in the world. Is that what it was?
15th best player in the world, yeah.
Look, it's someone sent me a screenshot there, so I can't even credit who it was from, but it was basically outlining his career since he joined Aston Villa. So he joined in 2020, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So in 2020, he joined Aston Villa. He won the Copa America in 21, won the Copa America Golden Glove in 21, was on the Copa America team of the tournament in 21, sixth place in the Aston Trophy in 2021. 2022, he won the Finalisma. Then he won the World Cup. He won the Golden Glove at the World Cup. 2022, best men's goalkeeper. 2023, Ballon d'Or 15th place. And 2023, Yashin Trophy. Absolutely incredible. And what a lovely moment for a surprise for him, for his father to come out and present him with that trophy. I think that's a lovely touch. Really, really lovely touch from the organisers to do that. The man is just an absolute legend, and we're blessed to have brought him in at the price we got him for, because it's so hard to buy goalkeepers. It's like strikers. To get a really good one, you really have to push the boat out. But I think now he realises what Aston Villa has done for him, and all of the murmurings coming out now are that he wants to win something at Aston Villa. And by God, we hope that is the case.
Well, Paddy, did you not know that when Aston Villa bought him, they made an awful mistake? Because if you remember, Paddy, Blue Nose Andy had this take after Aston Villa signed Emiliano Martinez, and it said he was 28 years old, had played 101 career games, 15 in the Premier League and no international caps, and cost 20 million. But Birmingham, who signed Neil Etheridge at the same time, was 30 years of age, had played 281 career games, 38 in the Premier League and 63 caps, and he only cost 2 million. Who would be getting the best deal? Asked Blue Nose Andy. Well, I don't know. I suppose the jury's still out in that one, Andrew, isn't it? I nearly follow him myself, just for all the brilliant footballing takes that he seems to have, because he's operating on a different level, is Andy at the moment, and a lot of the guys over there in Winter, Wayne Rooney.
Kieran's asked me, was that Ben's tweet? It could very well have, Kieran. Whoever sent it to me didn't send the name on the top of it, so I'll go back and check if it was, and I'll share it again if that's the case.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, as I say, more power to Emi Martinez, and hopefully he goes on from strength to strength. And look, as I say, he's achieving what he wanted to achieve on an individual level at Aston Villa. I presume what he wanted to achieve on an individual level, and now it's up to the team to start achieving as a team. And we're looking like we're cooking with gas at the moment, and long that may continue as well. Now, I mentioned also as well that there was another little somber piece as well, and Aston Villa record cap holder Charlie Aitken passed away as well recently. He passed away on the 29th of October, yesterday, at the age of 81. For a player to for a player to have played 660 times for Aston Villa, essentially, like, he went to the New York Cosmos before he retired as well, but to play 660 times, coming through the reserve system as well there, and never get a cap for your country. Never get a cap for your country. Like that to me, that's a bit of a baffling one, considering his country was Scotland. So from 1959 to 1976, they must have had absolutely wicked left backs, and maybe they did, because Charlie Aitken was what can only be described as a stalwart. Aston Villa have a real affinity, and there's a real connection with Scotland, not just because of John McGinn, obviously William McGregor and a lot of other great Scottish players down through the years. Charlie Aitken's caps record will never be surpassed. I cannot see that being surpassed at 660.
The days of seeing players with that kind of commitment to a club are nearly dead and gone. It's a phenomenal achievement for him to play for us for 15 years at the top level, and to amass that amount of games. Charlie was a lovely fella. Anyone that ever met him was just blown away by his charisma and his love of Aston Villa. For somebody to come, from a different country, it always amazes me when they come from anywhere else but Birmingham and fall that much in love with the club, as all of the legends did. In fairness, you meet anybody that played for Villa around Villa Park on a match day, they're totally head over heels in love with the club. They love everything about it, and Charlie was exactly that as well. Very, very sad to hear the news yesterday. The news broke just while the game was just finishing yesterday, so sad bit of news which really overshadowed the day. But look, 81 years of age, achieved so much with Aston Villa. We're so grateful that we had him in our team for all those games, and as you say, it will never be surpassed, and God rest him.
Absolutely, God rest him is right, and Arish Degra and Anam Deelish as well, because as I say, as you said, they're a great ambassador for a club, somebody who wore with pride his Aston Villa-ness on both sleeves, not even just on one sleeve. And condolences to his family, and condolences to everybody at the club who would have been close to him as well. A legend, and as you say, a record that is going to stand the test of time, I'm sure. Okay, I think with that, you can't really follow that up, I suppose, when something like that happens. But I think we're going to end the podcast on that note, Paddy. No European football this week, so Paddy, you get a small bit of a break. We get maybe a day or two where we don't have to do a podcast. But we will be back with a preview of the Forest game on Thursday night, and we will be back in full form again with Team Sheet Tantrum and post-match on Sunday for Forest away at 2 p.m. kickoff. So hopefully you'll join us for that as well. One last little thing to ask you guys as well is, once again, even if you don't listen on the audio platforms that we host our podcast on, whether it be Spotify, whether it be Apple Music, wherever, we're on literally every single podcast platform. Even if you were to click the subscribe button there, doesn't cost you anything to do. All it does is it just kicks us off in the algorithm on those specific platforms as well. We've more and more people who message us recently saying, "Oh, I didn't know about your channel, and I don't really watch stuff on YouTube. I prefer to listen to the audio podcast." And for whatever reason, the algorithms there don't kick us up near the top. Not that maybe we just don't deserve to be up near the top of the podcast that are there, but some people are saying that when they go to search for us, they have to actually search for us, that it doesn't come up under suggestions under Aston Villa. But there's only one way to do that, and that's by getting people to click the subscribe button to kick the algorithm into gear as well. So I'd really appreciate if you guys could do that too. And also, if you aren't subscribed on YouTube, just click the subscribe button as well. Once again, it doesn't cost you anything, and it helps us out to get our voices out further into the stratosphere. So yeah, as I say, Aston Villa on the up and up, and hopefully we'll continue to do so after a couple of days rest this week, well-deserved rest. We will be back, as I say, closer to the end of the week. But in the meantime, everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.